All right, this is Adrian Petrilla, and I've got a special guest with us today, Jim Parker with Guaranteed Rate. I've known Jim for close to 10 years now. So one of the reasons I invited Jim here to show us one of the programs that they have at Guaranteed Rate is one of the challenges that we're experiencing in today's market is a shortage of inventory. There's just not enough homes. We've got too many buyers. And for every house and every listing, there might be 10, 15, 20 offers. And especially if you have a financed buyer, one of the challenges, especially if it's in that sweet spot in the $200,000 to $500,000 range, is how do you beat out other buyers? How do you get your offer accepted versus somebody else's offer accepted? How do you compete with cash offers? So Jim is going to show us a program that they're running. At Guaranteed Rate, that's going to help us address this specific issue. So Jim, go ahead, take it.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. I really appreciate it, the invitation, and appreciate our friendship and, all the, great conversations that you and I have had over the years. And so one of our, one of the many conversations that we had is, really talking about, how can we gain a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And so one of the things that I shared with Adrian, and he wanted me to share with his team is really, who here, and again, I know I can't see hands, but, who here would want, ways, to win more contracts, right? As Adrian explained, we're in a market where, you've got to be able to differentiate your buyer, right? Reduce the amount of contingencies that you have on the contract, so that, with all things being equal, if it's your contract versus, multiple offers, what is it that's going to put your offer to the top or get your offer accepted, which is more important, right? And, because at the end of the day, who agrees that none of us need any more practice writing contracts, right? So, the last thing we would want you to do from a real estate perspective is to, have to continue to present multiple offers on properties. And, I've heard stories from realtors where, they're 15, 20 contracts deep into a buyer, and still, losing out, whether it's price or whether it's a cash offer or whether it's somebody, who goes through Guaranteed Rate, gets an approval express program and can close the loan in 14 to 21 days, right? Contingent to the appraisal. So, the program that I'm going to share with you, is really going to, touch upon, what you can do as a real estate professional to really advise your clients and your customers, how to get that competitive advantage in the marketplace so that, you can get them off the fence and into a new home as quickly, easily, and without any hassle as possible, right? So Red Arrow Express is an approval process where we're really just taking your borrower while they're looking for a house. Instead of issuing them a pre-qual letter, which is what most lenders do, they'll run the loan through an automated system, which every lender has now, and they'll say, okay, based on your income, your assets, and your credit, you can qualify for X amount, right? The only issue with that is that, how many of you have experienced this? And I know I've seen it, and I've helped, clients in the past, where the lender really didn't look at the W-2s, to see a decrease in income, really didn't see the year-to-date income on the pay stubs, or look at the large deposits that are on the bank statements, or, understand where the money's coming from, right? So these are all things that can derail a loan once it's under contract, right? And the last thing that you want is to finally win a deal to then lose it through the process of the loan or through the fact that the loan wasn't underwritten in advance. So the Approval Express program gives you a full underwrite. So we're taking your borrower before they shop for a home, at no cost to them. We will get a full underwriting approval before they've settled on the property, right? And then allow your buyers to know with confidence that, all they need is the appraisal, the title work, and the homeowner's insurance in order to be able to go to contract. Because we've taken the guesswork out of the loan. We've address all the issues up front, while they're looking for a house. And then once you have a contract, you're able to give a commitment letter, which holds a lot more weight than the pre-approval letter or pre-qual letter. So the acceptable programs that you can use for this, and what the program will allow you to do is take your conventional borrowers, your FHA borrowers, and your VA borrowers, and allow them to get this full approval. So currently, right now, jumbo, USDA, and bond loans are not acceptable to this. But your other three programs, which are the majority of people out there shopping right now, are able to get this commitment letter. And the timeline is just like a regular loan, right? We would work with your buyer to gather all the documentation, submit the loan into underwriting. There's a 3 to 5 day turnaround time in our underwriting process for these loans. And that way, within 7 to 10 days, that you have a buyer that's ready, willing, and able to go out and buy. And so, the benefit to that is now when you present your offer, you're taking the contingency of pre-approval out of commitment letter of the offer, and you're able to put a closing date that is less than 30 days, right? So, which can be the difference between that seller saying yes to your borrower, or going with a cash offer, or going with a borrower who can close in 21 days or less. And in most parts, what we do on an appraisal standpoint, because that's the biggest issue right now in the industry, is appraisal turn times and appraisal prices going up. It's like wood prices, right? The appraisals in the marketplace are seeing that they can ask for more money and or ask for more time. So one of the things that Guaranteed Rate has done as a strategy to expedite the appraisal process is that we'll explain to the borrower, and again, not every borrower, we don't need a rush appraisal. We won't ask for it, but if we need a rush appraisal, meaning that we want it within 7 to 10 days, we can charge a $200 rush fee to the borrower to allow them the ability to get that appraisal back that much sooner, so that we can make sure that we meet the expected closing date. And so, the way for you to explain this to the borrower would be, hey, instead of asking for 20 or 50,000 more on a property, if we can reduce the timeline, how much money would that be able to save you? And the $200 investment that you make will allow us to get the appraisal that much sooner. So the other great thing that we can do here is this marketing flyer that I have that has my contact information in here. We can co-brand this with your information as well. So, we have an agent advantage program that allow us to co-market any of our pre-approved flyers with you, so that way when you're out in the marketplace, or if you want to generate more clients, you can utilize our marketing that's already approved. It's free to use, and it allows you to be able to give something to the borrowers that make them want to do business with you and want to do business with Guaranteed Rate. So the great thing again is there's no cost up front to your buyer. Your buyer gets a commitment letter, and then allows you to go out and go shopping with them to find the house of their dreams. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions and see who had, what questions you have in reference to the Red Arrow Approval Express program.
So Jim, just to make sure that we kind of differentiate this between every other type of loan pre-approval that you would normally see is, so what you're essentially doing is you're taking the 2 weeks that it would go to underwriting just to pre-approve the buyer, right? To go get all their documentation, get all their bank statements and W-2s and taxes and whatever else. You're taking all of that legwork and you're front loading it, right? Before they ever look at a house. And the underwriter's identifying any issues or pitfalls that might show up later on that you normally wouldn't find out until week 2, 3, or 4, a couple of days before closing. You're doing all of that legwork ahead of time, right? And then
exactly
the thing that's left to do is, so if my buyer gets a pre-approval, like a full express pre-approval up to, let's say, $400,000, at that point the only contingency is, hey, as long as you find a house at $400,000 or less and it appraises, you can close in 14 days. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing. Up front is doing all the legwork so that way on the back end, there's no surprises. You know, you have the confidence to know that your borrower is going to be able to get the loan, and that we're doing, you know, our due diligence. And again, you know, our goal is to make this as easy as possible for your borrower, right? I mean,
Right.
you know, Guaranteed Rate has a digital mortgage program that allows the borrower to, you know, apply online, that allows them to put all the information into the system so that way, you know, they're uploading their documents, and depending on how much, you know, on whether they're W-2 or self-employed. I mean, there's tools that we have automated that will allow us to get their income right from, you know, their employer, and their bank statement information right from their bank accounts. So, I mean, technically, your borrower may not even have to submit, you know, their information, because our system will automatically pull all that data for them and allow them to, you know, to truly be able to, you know, get an approval that has very minimal conditions, if any.
Right. And so you mentioned this is good for FHA, this is good for VA, this is good for conventional. So what is the upper limit on this program?
So on conventional, you're talking about the loan limits?
Yes.
So for conventional, you know, your loan limits are going to be the 548,250. You know, with VA, you know, your loan limit's up over $1 million. I think with this express program, you're doing both the 548,250. But I'll double check on that and as a takeaway. And then, you know, your FHA limits are, you know, what they are for the county that you're looking to be in. So.
Right. So, I mean, this is essentially will work for just about any house that's under 550,000 roughly, right? So, which is really the tough spot, right? It's the 250, 300, you know, $350,000 houses, the $400,000 houses that in most markets, you know, we're seeing the multiple offers in the first 24 hours. You know, we had a good friend of ours listed his house in the first 24 hours, one open house, no showings, and it got 21 offers, right? So how do you, if your buyer is one of those 21 offers, you know, how do you compete? The way you compete is this, you know, if they don't have the cash to bring to it, you know, you can get them completely pre-approved with the express offers here, get them all the way through underwriting, right? And so when they submit their offer, they can put, you know, a 14-day, 21-day closing date. So Jim, the other question I had is, so I know this is going to depend on the different markets and then wherever you are, but does the buyer still have to include a financing contingency in their offer, or should they still include a financing contingency? I mean, even if they include a financing contingency, right, that this would be like a 2-week financing contingency rather than a 30-day financing contingency, which might be more the standard.
Yeah, the only contingency you're really going to have is going to be the appraisal, right? The appraisal coming back, right, and being acceptable, and then obviously the title work. But again, those are the only 3 things that the underwriter has to review: is the appraisal, title work, and the homeowner's insurance. So, you know, so whether they're buying a condo or they're buying a single family, I mean, you know, they can still utilize this program. I mean, the biggest benefit that you're going to see is on those marginal deals, you know, where somebody maybe has a lower credit score, or maybe they have something funky on their employment, you know, or they have some, you know, where the assets coming from, right? It's not a clear cut, you know, documentation of you know, what the underwriter needs to have in front of her before they approve it. And again, after 30 years of being in the business, I've kind of seen pretty much everything that can happen, you know, both good and bad. And from a leadership perspective, you know, I get involved in a lot of loans that maybe, you know, get suspended or you know, recommendation is to get denied, right? So this just takes that out of the equation. so that way you have more confidence and your buyer has more confidence. And again, at the end of the day, our goal is to work together, to get the borrower, off the fence and into the house.
Right. Cool. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for Jim here? Speak now. Okay. All right, Jim, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to share this with us today. I see the value in this, the ability to, write an offer that, has few contingencies where you can compete with cash offers and close in 2 weeks. That should be a huge help for agents in this market to help them close more homes. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.